Attention is an extremely important component of the law of assumption, but it's also a component that's not very well understood nor taken seriously. By the end of this video, you'll know why it's important, and you'll also realize that if you're not achieving the desired results with the law of assumption, it's simply due to not using attention. We only take action on those things which we are aware of. You must be aware of something before you actually take any action on it. And every action starts out as a thought. Thoughts are seeds, but only those seeds which are properly nurtured with enough attention, persistent attention, and intense attention will sprout. We take action on our thoughts, but only those which received enough attention. This is important to realize because most of the time we don't manage our thoughts. Instead, we're lost in our thoughts and our personal stories. These are the stories that continually run through our head about our past, that explain where we are, how we were shaped, what our limitations are. And these run through our heads like computer programs whenever we're awake. They become our dominant thought patterns, and they end up eventually pushing out all other thought patterns and stories. Eventually, we become so comfortable thinking and replaying these stories in our head that they become part of our identity. But it's these very same stories that are preventing us from growing. You see, in order to grow, our mind needs to infuse itself with new stories, to become comfortable and accept these new stories and replay them enough times that they forge into new beliefs. If we don't actively manage our thoughts, then we won't be able to grow. This is not new to you. You've heard this before, but there is a serious problem. When we try to move away from our current thought patterns, stories, or limiting beliefs, we often do not replace these with new stories. And because of that, we easily fall back into our comfort zone and continue telling ourselves these old stories. I personally noticed that I felt helplessly incapable of changing my thoughts and own stories. I was able to notice when I was running these old limiting stories through my head, but I didn't know how to change them because I had no other stories to tell myself. I fell back into my comfort zone and I didn't grow at all. It wasn't until I realized that our minds work like computers. They need to run on some type of software. Those are our thoughts and stories. And if we don't purposely construct new stories and practice living our life according to them, the old stories become our default software in our minds and we run on them. We have to consciously create new stories and repeat them, replay them in our head enough times that push out the old ones. These new stories are what we will focus our attention on and eventually take action on. So this cycle, number 1, constructing new stories. 2, repeatedly living them mentally so they push out the old ones. And 3, starting to act upon these new stories. This is the process that leads us to changing our lives. So what I'm telling you is that what we focus our attention on is extremely important. It dominates our mind, eventually changing our beliefs about ourselves, and they also impel us to take certain action. The Buddha once said, what you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. And what you imagine, you create. So another way to put it, you are what you focus your attention on.